Welcome to our channel. We're so happy to have you here. Don't forget to subscribe and help us hit our goal of 100,000 subscribers. Vivien Leigh photographed by J.W. Debenham at the Old Vic Theatre during her performance in A Midsummer Night's Dream, 1937. View of driver and passenger racing. Stutz car number 2, in trial race during the 1913 Indianapolis 500 automobile races at the Indianapolis Speedway in Indiana. National Automotive History photograph. Jesse Owens upon his return to the U.S. after winning 4 gold medals at the 1936 Olympic Games. Bar gunner. Terry Moore eats his rations on Okinawa. April/May 1945. He served with the 184th Infantry Regiment, 7th Infantry Division, and was wounded in action on May 27, 1945. He was discharged on August 9, 1945, and passed away in 2004. He is buried in Lompoc, California. A 1931 poster for a review at the Casino de Paris featuring Mistinguett by costume designer and illustrator Zig, Louis Gaudin, who designed several posters for the casino between 1926 and 1932. On this day in 1970, 2,000 students gathered on the campus of Kent State in Ohio to protest the Vietnam War. Though canisters of tear gas were fired into the crowd, the protesters remained steadfast. At 12:24 p.m., National Guardsmen opened fire, killing 4 people and injuring 9 in 13 seconds. Vivien Leigh and Cammie King Conlon in the set of Gone with the Wind, 1930s. H.G. Wells and Jill the Platypus, photographed by S. Alston Pearl. Melbourne, 1939. Photograph of members of the Deer Team, U.S., and the Viet Minh, Vietnam, in a training camp during World War II, 1939 to 1945. In the center is U.S. Major Allison K. Thomas, flanked by Vo Nguyen Giap, right, and Ho Chi Minh, left. Man and woman sitting on the bumper of a Studebaker at Southport, Queensland, 1937. Mrs. Chambers, chaperone, Bonnie Mealing, Claire Dennis, Frances Bolt, Eileen Wern, Thelma Kench, NZ sprinter, at the Los Angeles Olympics, 1932. A lone Soviet soldier walks away from a grave of his fallen brothers in arms on the banks of the Volga, Stalingrad. 478,000 to 675,000 Red Army troops died in the brutal fighting. February 1943. Some of the first vehicles across the Sydney Harbour Bridge, 1932, by Sam Hood. Love to animals. The Führer has it before anyone else. German poster showing Hitler feeding squirrels, 1930s. A demonstrator is taken away by police officers during the Battle of Cable Street in East London when Jewish and anti-fascist protesters clashed with fascists in 1936. This day in Buster. June 4th, 1931. Buster Keaton's pal, Lou Cody, is living with Buster Keaton at his MGM home, Keaton's Kennel, whilst he films Sporting Blood, released later that year. A sign on the door reads, "Keep out men at work," although we're sure it wasn't all work and no play. Children's birthday party at the home of Mrs. Lucy Jane Moran, Todman Avenue, Kensington, Sydney, 1930s, by Sam Hood. Mohandas Gandhi with his charkha cloth spinning wheel in his prison cell at Yaravda Prison in India from 1932 to 1933, he was imprisoned for demonstrating against British rule. He encouraged others to spin their own cloth, as opposed to buying it off the British. People walking across the bridge, Sydney Harbour Bridge opening celebrations, 19 March, 1932. Why would I be mega-judged if I would dress like so every day? I need more 30s clothing. Screen test for the flying monkeys with bat kind of wings to give them a more scary look. They went with feather wings because it was deemed a little too scary. Circa 1939. Francis Densmore with Blackfoot Chief, Mountain Chief, during a phonograph recording session for the Bureau of American Ethnology, 1916. Mexico 1911, Zapatista Colonel Amparo Salgado, photographed by Sara Castrejon in Teloloapan in April of that year. A woman tried to protect her house from demolition in an attempt to stop the construction of a highway that was to pass through her plot. On August 5, 1958, sheriffs posing as journalists broke into the house and disarmed her. A court later awarded the woman $9,000 in damages, but her house was demolished anyway. June 4, 1916. Verdi's Requiem was played at the Polo Grounds, conducted by Louis Kumenick and members of the New York Philharmonic, as well as 1,200 singers from various choral societies from the New York City area. Mussolini signing the Lateran Agreements in 1929, which recognized the Vatican City-State as a territory solely governed by the Pope and regulated the Church in Italy. It was done to curry favors with the Pope and Vatican to maintain Mussolini's rule as the fascist leader of Italy. French soldier Georges Roy, who lost his eyes and arms in the war, marries Marguerite Lavenu in Paris. Both were from the same village in Normandy, but barely knew each other. She heard of his predicament after he was injured and offered to marry him in 1917. 1917, wedding dress by couturier Jean Lanvin for her daughter Marguerite Marie Blanche's wedding. Group of women looked down from the balcony of the Esmeralda, jewelry building, some with their cameras at the ready. Very likely what was going down was the parade of the 100 years of independence in Mexico. September of 1910. South African police beating women with batons in Durban, South Africa on April 17, 1962, after they had destroyed and set fire to a brewery in protest against police actions banning homemade alcohol. 1918. An aircraft factory in Birmingham, England during World War I. All the workers are women and even young girls. Maria Orska, born Effie Rahel Blinderman, in her role as Lulu in the stage play Erdgeist, Earth Spirit, by Franz Wedekind, directed in 1916 by Max Reinhardt. Golden Potlatch, Children's Parade, University Playfield Float, July 20th, 1912, SRC Seattle Public Library. Irene Sandler was a Polish social worker. During WW II, she saved the lives of 2,500 children by smuggling them out of the Warsaw Ghetto, despite being tortured by the infamous Gestapo and having both of her legs and feet broken with a sledgehammer. She refused to betray the children. 5 soldiers during World War I on leave and getting ready for a few pints in the Bell and Oak Public House. 1914 to 1918. A member of the Women's Land Army, 1915 to 18, leads a horse out from the stables during the First World War. Image, Horace Nichols. Baseball legends, Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig fundraising for a new hospital at Dexter Park in Brooklyn, New York on October. 1928. Ruth subsequently commandeered a cop's horse and proceeded to ride around the stadium. The famous pilot Red Baron von Richthofen was a fighter pilot with the German Air Force during World War I. He is considered the ace of aces of the war, being officially credited with 80 air combat victories. A horse-drawn fire engine on its way to the Triangle Shirtwaist Company fire. In total, 146 victims would die as a result of the blaze. New York City, March 15, 1911. George V is probably the only world leader in modern history to walk unafraid amongst the crowds, with almost no security at all. He was a very accomplished man, but his greatest achievement was to be loved. He was nicknamed the People's King. Seen here in Yorkshire, 10th July 1912. April 1923. Lanvin at the races. The model wears an embroidered jacket with deep V-neck worn over a softly pleated shirt. A large hat and double row of beads over the blouse complete the look. Nicholas II at the age of 48 in 1916. He was the last emperor of Russia, the King of Poland, and the Grand Duke of Finland. By 1917, support for Nicholas had collapsed, and he was forced to abdicate the throne. An Iron Man of the past in a diving suit. The suit's name was Iron Man, too. It had electric charging and pressure protection systems. The photo was taken in New York, 1907. 1913. By the Flatiron Building by Broadway, 5th Avenue, and 23rd Street in Lower Manhattan after a blizzard. March, 1915. The Marion Morgan dancers perform barefoot in snow in Central Park.